The two biggest military FPS game franchises decided to unveil their games back-to-back before E3, with Call of Duty's reveal event taking place last week and Battlefield's last night. Since they went first, I'm starting with Black Ops 4. Very early rumors indicated that this would be a Vietnam or Cold War era game like the setting of Black Ops 1, but that's not the case. It takes place between 2 and 3, but as someone who played a dozen or so hours of 3, this looks almost identical to 3, with the only major change being the removal of the exosuits. For what it's worth, Black Ops 3 is easily the best enhanced mobility Call of Duty, but that's not saying much. They might be getting rid of the movement system, but they are bringing back the specialists. Some of them are the same as 3, but there are some new ones. Some people pointed out that they're kind of ripping off the Rainbow Six Siege operators, and I can see where they're coming from. The biggest announcement out of Black Ops 4 was this new Blackout mode, which is a Battle Royale mode. According to some math based off of comments given by the developers, these fans came to the conclusion that the map is somewhere around the size of Fortnite, or it's smaller than Fortnite. And then if you count the little orange dots in the trailer, it's 140 players. Personally, I'm doubtful of any details about this mode since they themselves said development started a year ago. And I don't even believe that for a second. PUBG is about a year old right now, and it didn't become a massive thing until a few months later. So let's say at the earliest, they started work on this in mid-summer 2017. It's probably in pre-alpha right now. In fact, I can almost guarantee that this mode will not ship with the game and come at a later date. They'll definitely want to have it out in some capacity before Black Friday, so I'd guess that a sort of beta or early access mode will come out in November. And then the final thing they talked about was the typical zombies nonsense, which I don't give a fuck about, so I'm not even going to begin to cover that. The big controversy here is the removal of the single-player campaign, but maybe that's the trade-off for the rumored removal of the Season Pass. For me, COD is a game I never buy a Season Pass for. In fact, I think the last time I bought a map pack for one of these games was probably Call of Duty 4. It's a mixed bag though, because who knows what kind of content will be free and on what time frame it will release. I don't think Activision has done a game yet with this model, so we'll have to wait and see. The one really interesting thing about this game is that on PC, it'll be a Battle.net exclusive. Activision probably saw that Destiny 2 on Battle.net worked out, so why ever let Valve have a piece of the pie if you can have all of it? Personally, I have no problem with Battle.net as a platform. It's probably the only non-Steam launcher that I don't have an issue with. In fact, some parts are superior to Steam in my opinion. Battle tags are great, and for a game like Destiny 2 where I'm going on LFG websites to get randoms, it works way better than Steam probably would. But some people are unhappy with this, so it is what it is. Battlefield was the one I was more excited for sure. In the past year or so, I've grown really fond of the franchise. As someone who was not a huge fan of 3 and especially 4, I think Battlefield 1 is a pretty great game, and I've played over 100 hours of it. So when I saw early rumors that BF 2018 was going to be Bad Company 3 and be set in Vietnam, oh my god, I was so excited. Who knows where those rumors came from though, because that is not at all what Battlefield 2018 is. Battlefield 5 is a World War II game, but you'd be hard-pressed to tell based off of the horrendous reveal event. I thought the Black Ops reveal was bad, but this was on another level. They got Trevor Noah to host this thing, which is another issue entirely, and then they got this elaborate set with a live audience. So you'd think it was a pretty big deal if they spent this much money, but they just sat there talking about vague aspects of the game with an occasional concept art or 3D render on the screen. This nonsense was all leading up to a trailer for the game, which first off was a terrible trailer, but it wasn't even gameplay. It's this unholy abomination of a pre-rendered cutscene that starts off pretending to be a story mission, then it turns into a Michael Bay cutscene, then it transitions into a conquest match. Like, just look at this shit, what the fuck is it? And that's all without mentioning the hilarious cast of what I assume will be the campaign characters. Look at these clowns, fucking look at them. The one guy has a katana, the woman has the prosthetic arm from the Phantom Pain. It's like a bad knockoff of Halo Reach's Noble Team. So based off the trailer, game's not looking too hot. I think the best description would be Battlefield 4 cutscene with Battlefield 1 assets on it. Like, it's just a fucking mess. I'm not sure it's the best business move either. I would have done like a more modern game this year. either 2000s in the Middle East or a Vietnam game, and then in 2020 I would have done BF World War II, and then no one would notice that it's just a reskin of Battlefield 1. During the 30-minute Battlefield special edition of The Daily Show, they did briefly mention some details. The one that stood out to me was fortifications. For like a split second, they showed some footage of building, and oh god, why? They were talking about the fans asking for stuff, but I've never heard anyone ask for Fortnite building mechanics in a Battlefield game. I hope to god that this shit is quarantined to its own game mode or something, because if this is in normal modes like Conquest, it's going to seriously impact the flow of the game. The final important detail I gleaned from this event was that Battlefield 5 will do away with the Premium Pass. Battlefield games live off their expansions more than COD games do, so I take this a lot more seriously than what Black Ops is doing. I see people praising EA for this, but I think you should be pissed. EA has done this format before, and it's failed both times. The first game was Titanfall 2. Do you remember any of the DLC from that game? I sure don't, and I played a hell of a lot of it. Now, they did add it, and it was free, but as the game faded out of the spotlight, so did the post-launch content. Then there's the prime example, Battlefront 2. Remember that whole debacle? Those pay-to-win loot crates were supposed to serve the greater good by funding post-launch content that otherwise would have been funded by a traditional season pass. Did they add post-launch content? Yes, they did. The first pack added 1 map and 45 more minutes of shitty campaign content. Then, as far as I'm aware, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, things went completely silent until like a week ago when the solo season was announced. What is that adding? 1 map. So as much as people hate the concept of a season pass or a premium pass, if it's a game like Battlefield that lives or dies off of post-launch content, I'll take the premium pass every time. I mean, listen, I was optimistic about this model too. It sounds great, but every game that's done it has failed. Titanfall 2, Battlefront 2, Halo 5. Just thinking about the Model 2, it's a publisher's dream. First off, they get good press and word of mouth for giving out stuff for free and doing away with a hated practice. And then, if the game doesn't do well or the player population dies out, they can just quietly scale back development or cancel it altogether. At least with a season pass, they have an obligation to put out that content because people paid for it. So Battlefield 5 is just the latest and biggest game to do this model. They said upfront that they will not have pay-to-win loot boxes like Battlefront 2, but it will have cosmetics, presumably to fund that free content. But who wants cosmetics in a game like this? It makes no sense outside of gun skins, which coincidentally make no sense in a World War II game. So that's Battlefield 5. Between the two, I'd much rather play Battlefield 5, and I have little to no interest in Black Ops 4. That being said, Battlefield 5 had one of the worst reveal events I've ever witnessed, and we still haven't seen any gameplay. Let me know if you guys were disappointed by these reveals, or if you're excited for either of the games. Until next time, thanks for watching.